guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. I'm one of your hosts, Michelle. Today is the 28th of June, 2019. I cannot tell you how excited I am about tonight's show. You are not going to want to miss what we have coming up. And while I'm waiting for Leah, who just came from doing farm chores, she was literally milking a cow. Well, okay, she does that in the morning on these farm chores for somebody that we are pet sitting for. And so she literally walked in the door and she yelled down and she said, "Are you talking to the people?" And I said, "No." And she said, "You should be." So I want to get started by playing one of the things that I am most excited to talk about tonight, and that is the Democrat debates. If you did not see the debates that happened, I think that you missed out on something really special. You missed out on some of the best entertainment that I have seen in a really, really long time. Normally, I'm going to be honest with you. During the entire Barack Obama presidency, I never listened to that man speak. Like, I literally couldn't handle it. Most of the time, I can't listen to Democrats speak. When it comes to this Democrat debate, it has been so entertaining, and I'm going to get into why. I'm going to give you my whoa. Leah almost knocked over the light. Oh, praise Jesus. I'm going to give you my punchline right now, and that is this. Any single candidate on that stage that actually gets the nomination, Trump can beat hand over fist. And do you know why? Because the Democrat Party is completely divided. They've got the socialists and they've got the mainstream, just regular old run-of-the-mill Democrats that are not socialists. Okay? The vote is going to get split. It's going to be a repeat of 2016 all over again. As a matter of fact, he's going to beat whoever it is by a landslide. Now, Lee and I are going to go over these candidates, okay? And talk to you about them. There are a couple, maybe like three, who have the policies and even kind of the personality a little bit. If the mainstream media were to get behind them, they would actually have a fighting chance against Donald Trump. I believe that Tulsi Gabbard is 100% one of those people. Leah is coming. So we're going to see how it plays out, but they're not going to get, I told Leah, they're literally shooting themselves in the foot. They are not going to get behind anybody that is sound-minded. There were a couple of people up there on the stage over the 2 nights that we watched that did say, "Listen, guys, we're not going to beat Donald Trump if we try to go for socialism. That's just not going to happen." And these people, when they were up on the debate, most of them were competing against each other and not trying to beat Donald Trump. I would say the wisest people on that stage were the ones who were trying to beat Donald Trump. And when I say that, what I mean by that is trying to reach the sound-minded conservatives, okay? Or even the middle-of-the-road people. Do you know how many middle-of-the-road people there are in this country who haven't decided whether they're a Democrat or a Republican because they lean both ways? Hi, Leah. And they're never going to reach those people with the socialist agenda, okay? So this is pure entertainment. It's been absolutely so much fun to watch the past couple of days. I shouldn't say this on air, but I'm going to. The last 10 minutes of last night's debate, I took into the bathroom with me while I was taking a shower. So, because I didn't want to miss it, I had it on my cell phone. I literally said it.
It was literally like watching Donald Trump win 2020 the
whole
time.
I know.
That's why, that's what was so entertaining about it. It was like, there's nobody here that any sound-minded person could vote for. You're going to have a lot of socialists vote for these people and their policies. You're going to have some illegal immigrants vote for them. But here we go.
I actually have that on my screen. It's the only one that I have. If you want me to play it, I actually have your whole Twitter page up. So let's go to just this.
Let go, baby.
Right away.
2020. It's only in the bag if there's like super election interference, which there is right now.
We do not talk enough about trans Americans.
The biggest threat to the security of the United States is Donald Trump.
Russia. Necesitamos incluir cada persona en nuestra democracia.
Moms across this country are getting paid less simply because they're women.
Does this hurt my Uncle Dick and his deer stand?
For the last 21 years, I've been raising a black son in America.
La situación ahora es inaceptable.
I'm someone that can win and beat Donald Trump.
We ask voters from across the country to submit their questions.
You are the only Latino Democrat who is running this year in the presidential race.
El presidente ha atacado.
Everyone can vote in this country.
We are going to take a quick break. We're going to get this technical situation fixed. We will be right back. Just because a woman, or let's also not forget, someone in the trans community, a trans female, is poor, doesn't mean they shouldn't have the right to exercise that right to choose. Yeah, if the control room can turn off the mics. I just think it's a mistake, Beto.
Okay, so wait. There's another one that you tweeted out. Do you want me to play it? This one?
Sure.
Okay, let me unmute it. Rewind it.
Defend Roe v. Wade.
I don't even call it climate change. It's a climate crisis.
Our first act in foreign policy, we're breaking up with Russia and making up with NATO.
Buenas noches to Mayor Buttigieg.
We do not talk enough about trans Americans.
The top 1%.
The biggest threat to the security of the United States is Donald Trump.
There's nothing he will not do to separate a family, cage a child, or erase their existence.
Moms across this country are getting paid less simply because they're women.
Children in cages. For the last 21 years, I've been raising a black son in America.
Necesitamos incluir cada persona en nuestra democracia.
You are the only Latino Democrat who is running this year in the presidential race.
La situación ahora es inaceptable.
Pass the torch.
In terms of having more women, more people from the LGBT.
I would be going about eliminating Donald Trump's tax cuts.
It's time to pass the torch. We ask voters from across the country to submit their questions.
Medicare for all who want it.
Pass the torch.
We need a party that is diverse.
I'm not changing diapers. I'm changing Washington.
El presidente ha atacado.
I was the first in my family to go to college and have student loan debt.
I'm someone that can win and beat Donald Trump.
Systemic racism. Russia.
Everyone can vote in this country.
Pass the torch.
Does this hurt my Uncle Dick and his deer stand?
The number of clips in the gun banned.
The debate we're having in our party right now is confusing. Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
Raise your hand if you think it should be a civil offense rather than a crime to cross a border without documentation. Can we keep the hands up so we can see them?
The generation who sends our children to school, where we look at what they're wearing, so we can remember it in case we have to identify them later.
Just because a woman, or let's also not forget, someone in the trans community, a trans female, is poor, doesn't mean they shouldn't have the right to exercise that right to choose. Yeah, if the control room can turn off the mics.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so what this recap did not show, which I'm going to tell you, I have never seen a group of more unrestrained, rude, interrupting, and talking over each other. Now, I know our friends tell us, and you guys do too, that Lee and I tend to talk over each other. Okay, that's only because we're finishing each other's sentences and not going 2 minutes or 5 minutes past our 30-second allotment. And then when we're being told to stop, we just keep talking and ignoring the moderators. It was literally a circus. That Christian Gillibrand, I think she walked away from the whole thing going, oh, I just did exactly what I was supposed to do. I didn't stop talking the whole time. Even when they told me to stop talking, I just kept talking and I just kept spewing out anything that came to my mind. And I was talking over everybody else, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly what I was supposed to do.
You know what they did to Andrew Yang? They turned his mic off so he couldn't talk over everybody else. Andrew Yang got 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Joe Biden got the most at over 12 minutes. And then Bernie and Kamala Harris came in right up there in Buttigieg.
Oh my gosh.
So they picked the people who they wanted to speak, and Kamala Harris got the floor. You know what though? I don't have a problem with her like wiping the floor with everybody, because if she actually started to run for president,
could you imagine
vote for
a
her.
debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris?
No, none of these people. Here's the thing.
Yes.
And this is what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that there's not a dark horse hiding somewhere. You know, an Oprah Winfrey, a Michelle Obama.
I know,
Roger
right?
Stone has said that he still thinks Michelle Obama is going to run.
Yeah, because people are going to be so sick and they'll be like, desperate. We need somebody, anybody, please.
After these debates, there's no hope. Everyone knows this is it. Was like when we were watching McCain and Romney run. We all knew that neither of them would win. We knew it, even though that we were coming off of the trails of Bush, who was Republican,
right?
And they want John McCain was supposedly a war hero. Conservatives weren't.
I don't think that Michelle Obama wants to run, or she already would have.
No, I think you're right, but I'm saying that if they are desperate enough,
yeah,
and Oprah Winfrey.
I don't think Biden wanted to run.
I'm going to tell you something. Running for president takes so much stamina, and I don't think Oprah Winfrey has it.
Does. Oprah does not have it.
I don't think she has it. I think she wants to have peace in her life, and she doesn't
She stresses out at the drop of a hat. Like, when I used to watch Oprah when I was a kid, she would have these ups and downs. Finish my sentence.
She would have ups and downs. She needed mental help. I'll play this. Kamala Harris says, America doesn't want to witness a food fight. That's right. She says they want somebody to bring the meal or something. And here's the whole point of this. That's why I'm going to play this, because they're treating the viewers like children, like they need someone to feed them, clothe them, shelter them, give them an education. Wait, pause. I need more volume. I know. Wait, I don't have more volume. Max volume?
Senator Harris, I'm so sorry. We will let all of you speak. Senator Harris.
It's not loud.
Senator Harris. Please.
Did you pull it up here?
Yeah.
Senator Harris.
We can't afford to wait for evolution on these issues. Hey guys, you know what? America does not want to witness a food fight. They want to know how we're going to put food on their table.
Okay, that was an excellent line. I mean, that was like mic drop. Kamala Harris, girl said it. I can't stand her. I have to admit but they continued with the food fight, and she was the food fight.
Stop. My point is that we don't need Kamala Harris to put food on the table for us.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm still stuck on how crazy it was. I was gone.
But no, it was really fun to watch. But my point is that she said Americans need us to put food on the table. Yeah. And I really think that kind of sums up the Democratic Party right now. Like, they are the party of communism. They're going to educate you, they're going to clothe you, they're going to feed you, but that's not how American economy works.
Right.
The issue that is at play in America today, and we've all been traveling around the country, I certainly have. I'm meeting people who are working 2 and 3 jobs. This president walks around talking about and flouting his great economy, right? My great economy, my great economy. You ask him, well, how are you measuring this greatness of this economy of yours? And he talks about the stock market. Well, that's fine if you own stocks. So many families in America do not. You ask them, how are you measuring the greatness of this economy of yours? And they point to the jobless numbers and the unemployment numbers. Well, yeah, people in America are working. They're working 2 and 3 jobs. So when we talk about jobs, let's be really clear. In our America, no one should have to work more than 1 job to have a roof over their head and food on the table.
Can I give the punchline here? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to address 2 things
now
that
the government going to put food on you.
The 2 things that she was talking about. Now, it sounds really good, and she sounds really right when she says, how are you measuring that? The stock market, that's fine if you own stocks. No, the stock market really does measure the economy as a whole. It doesn't measure how well you're doing with your personal stocks, because your stocks could be down.
Here's the thing. Okay? Anybody who has a portfolio kind of looked at her like, what?
No, but she's like, most people don't own stocks.
That's not how this works, baby. That's not, she's literally like, she's talking to dumb people. Like, that's a good line for dumb people.
Right. Now, when we're talking about having to work 2 or 3 jobs, she says nobody in America should have to work more than 1 job to make ends meet. Well, sister, I agree with you. And you know what the solution is? To end the Fed, to get rid of inflation, to go back to the gold standard, and then dads can provide for their entire family like they used to before December 25th,
honey.
December
The
23rd,
government-
1913.
Government's yo daddy now. They want to make government yo daddy, big daddy.
I'm serious about that line, though. If we ended the Fed and got rid of inflation, people wouldn't have to work 2 or 3 jobs.
Right, exactly.
Okay? If we got rid of property taxes, people wouldn't have to work 2 or 3 jobs. Do you know why people have to work 2 or 3 jobs? Because you're taking all their daggone money.
And they want to take
People
more
shouldn't
money.
have to work 2 or 3 jobs, but let me take 50% of what you got.
That's so right. And so they want the programs that they want, like free healthcare and all this free stuff. They're going to take more of your money.
Right.
You're going to be working
No,
more,
no,
not less.
we're only going to take it from the top 1%. We're not going to take it from you.
It's not going to happen.
Liars.
All right, Donald Trump tweeted this out. Are you ready?
Yes.
Senator Warren, I want to start with you. We are less than 50 miles from Parkland, Florida, where 17 people were killed in a school
Okay, so the lights didn't actually go out, but the mics did.
Situation.
But watch.
Well, the mics actually were playing hot mic.
I know.
We are hearing our colleagues' audio.
I love that Trump tweeted this
So
out.
Ozzy Osbourne's wife tweeted out that they're going to sue Trump for this song, using the song. But Trump didn't use it as part of his uncle.
We're going to get this technical situation fixed. We'll be right back.
That is hilarious. Okay, here's the problem with being a famous songwriter, singer, or whatever. We have such a thing now where people just use people's music and it goes out there and it's just, it is what it is. I was wondering, Leah, if we couldn't quickly, I want to pull up this picture here and actually let me open it up to this other one. I want to kind of go over these, carry on, but when you're done with that, I think it would be a good idea for us to kind of go face by face quickly, and the people that are unknown, we can kind of tell them a little bit about their views and how it went in the debate.
Are unknown to me, though.
Well, I know, but I think there are some that we got a pretty good handle on.
Some of them I still don't know.
I know.
Delaney.
It is kind of
Delaney
confusing.
Delaney was the guy who said, we're not going to win this election by being socialist, you bunch of idiots.
I know, I love that. I just absolutely
All right, so I want to
that.
play this for you from Tucker here.
Of America, the Democratic Party went completely insane yesterday. That's been happening for a while, of course. Insanity is a process. But last night, at the first Democratic primary debate of the 2020 season, they made it official. Elite Democrats have permanently broken with reality. They no longer care about what's true, what's possible.
See, let me just explain something to you. We are censored out the wazoo. We've been telling people that if Donald Trump doesn't do something, he will not win re-election. There's only one way that if we're still censored, that Donald Trump will not win. And that's if a socialist gets the nomination.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I know.
Then we don't have to do anything because
I know.
I
It's
watched.
just going to be so much
Here's
fun.
the thing. You know how I know this? Because Facebook is the indicator, right? Facebook's the indicator.
Right.
I saw a friend of mine share something about Bernie Sanders and how it was like a meme that talked about taking your stuff. I don't know. I can't remember, but it was really funny. And one out of like 10 or 12 people, was pro Bernie, right?
Okay.
So you're really seriously going to have, in my estimation, 1 out of 12 people who could vote for Bernie Sanders. The rest of them couldn't stomach it. They know that Donald Trump, they know deep in their heart and in their minds that Donald Trump is actually a center left leaning person who just so happens to be popular amongst the right.
Yeah.
As Andrew Yang said, has anybody ever noticed that conservatives will follow liberals, but liberals won't follow conservatives?
I know. Yeah.
So Donald Trump, conservatives and libertarians are backing Donald Trump, even though he's a little bit more lefty. He's a little bit more just left leaning, anyways, center left leaning.
So I'm just turning this on, make sure it doesn't go off. Before I forget, were you planning on telling them about what Twitter's going to do to Donald
Yeah,
Trump?
I have it all lined up.
All right, great.
So here's the thing. I have a good feeling. Michelle and I couldn't sleep last night, and we realized, and we're going to get into some spiritual things, like a little Kim Clement type prophecy
We are
thing.
breaking it down.
Because
we're bringing it.
God has been speaking to us 2020.
2020, baby.
Since like about 2014.
Yes.
And I don't know if you guys heard about like the 4 blood moons and the prophecies and stuff like that went along with that. And everybody's like, well, I didn't see anything happen. I didn't see anything happen. And in 2016, Michelle and I and our family kept feeling that something was going to happen in October. Mm-hmm. And I look back now, and prophecies are best in retrospect because that's how you know that they're fulfilled. Right. And I saw Kim Clement prophesying and stuff like that. What happened was the quantum shift. And Donald Trump being elected was not about Donald Trump. It was about the quantum shift because he was an outsider. He didn't have the keys. He was given the keys to unlock the secrets that only secret people in the secret society are supposed to have the keys to.
It sounds so secretive.
That's what they were so afraid of with Donald Trump being elected, because then he could investigate everybody. He could go back to the Clintons, Bill Clinton. He could go back. He could open up all the MLK stuff. We know the FBI sent him information and said, kill yourself. You know what I mean? And to Martin Luther King. So Donald Trump is about being open. He is about not, and that's why they had to create the insurance policy, which was the Russian narrative.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's another thing. Speaking about these debates that was hammered over and over again. They were asked, what is the biggest geopolitical threat?
Russia.
And so many of them said Russia. Because they're trying to undermine our elections. And I'm thinking to myself, Google.
I really feel
Google.
Like these Democratic debates.
Democrat
debates.
I keep wanting to say that too.
Were like kind of a symbol of like a quantum shift. We're coming across the season, the 4th of July, Independence Day, that we're going to celebrate. And I think from here until the election of next year, through the end of 2020 next year, we talk about the 400-year anniversary of the Pilgrims landing here. And they had a 500-year plan to create a Christian, freedom, liberty-based government that was a vision that God gave them. And, we're going to visit Plymouth right around this time next year. We're going to celebrate
literally today.
4th of July, yeah.
Next year.
And so if you guys want to be part of that, you look into that. I can send you links and stuff like that. I want you to do it as part of your own family.
Right.
It's not necessarily a Resistance Chicks thing. I want each family to be celebrating and say, what can I do? What could we do?
Right.
And to retrospect, look inside and how we're all part of a change and a quantum shift.
So to kick that off, everybody can check out Kirk Cameron's Monumental documentary. Mm-hmm. I think you can pay for it on several different platforms, or you can purchase it.
And we should be putting the link to I think it's kind of hard to find for people to research it, to find it. So we should put it in the link for that brochure for 2020. Actually,
the Plymouth Rock Foundation.
Yeah, Plymouth Rock Foundation. All right, so back to Tucker.
Even what's real, they live in a kind of dream state, a place of fantasy punctuated by howls of self-righteousness. Watch as Julian Castro, and keep in mind, he was an actual...
by the way, there was a lot of Spanish speaking at this American debate. It was absolutely hilarious. The pandering was off the charts.
Cabinet secretary in the Obama administration, that was only a couple of years ago. Watch as Julian Castro explains that men who get pregnant have a moral right to taxpayer-funded abortions. Not joking. Watch this.
Hurts my head.
I don't believe only in reproductive freedom. I believe in reproductive justice.
Justice.
And what that means is that just because a woman, or let's also not forget someone in the trans community, a trans female, is poor, doesn't mean they shouldn't have the right to exercise that right to choose.
No, a trans female would be a man who has no cervix, no uterus, no nothing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he has a right to an abortion. Yeah.
You're kidding.
No, he has a right to an abortion.
So the whole time that Tucker was talking about this, that didn't enter my brain because that would be literal insanity. Mm-hmm. I thought he was talking about a woman who thinks that she's a man.
Trans female is a female, but not who's in their mind, not in their body.
So if they
trans
get,
male,
but if they get pregnant in their mind, then they can have a metaphorical abortion paid for by the government.
And there was some sort of self-help guru on the platform last night or the night before.
I'm following.
And so they cheered. Behold late empire liberalism in full flower. Who exactly is the constituency for Castro's idea? Men dressed as women who get pregnant. That's the constituency. Unfortunately, there are precisely 0 people on planet Earth who fit that description. Not a single person, actually. There never have been any people like that. There never will be any people like that. Why? Because it's impossible. Biological men cannot get pregnant. Pretending otherwise is lunacy. It's the very definition of lunacy. But Julian Castro doesn't care. Taxpayer-funded transgender abortion sounds like something that all good progressives should support. So Castro fervently does. And critically, he knows that nobody in the room will defend science or pause to ask him, what the hell are you talking about? They can't say a word. They're too intimidated. They know HR is watching. So they nod like monkeys, as if everything he's saying is completely sane. Oh, good point, Mr. Secretary. Trans females shouldn't have to pay for their own abortions. That's racist. The whole thing was like a cartoon or an Evelyn Waugh novel.
But it was so great.
It went on like this all night.
It was
for example,
so
is
wonderful.
Julian Castro agreeing with Elizabeth Warren
watch it again.
that it shouldn't be illegal for foreigners to break our laws. Watch.
When somebody comes across the border, not to criminalize desperation, to treat that as a civil violation.
Criminalize desperation. And you thought this was your country just because, like your ancestors, you were born here. Just because you pay half your income to the government to keep the whole thing going, you thought it was your country. Think again, racist. America belongs to the rest of the world. Your job is to shut up and pay for it. Complain and we'll punish you. Yeah. Bill de Blasio often makes that point. Now, de Blasio, the single worst mayor in the 400-year history of New York City, that's impressive. But how did he wind up on a presidential debate stage last night? God knows. Maybe he illegally immigrated there. Doesn't matter. He was there, and once he had the mic, de Blasio promised to seize your money and give it to his supporters, who he explained deserve it much more than you do.
Yes, we're supposed to be for a 70% tax rate on the wealthy. You hear folks say there's not enough money. What I say to them every single time is there's plenty of money in this world. There's plenty of money in this country.
In the
it's
wrong
just
hands.
in the wrong hands.
And Elizabeth Warren's
it?
like, yeah!
We've got the power. Soon we'll have all the guns, and we're coming for your stuff. That was the major theme of last night. And in case anyone missed it, the 2 whitest candidates on stage decided to repeat the point in stilted Spanish.
Cada votante necesitamos la representación y cada voz necesitamos escuchar. Este presidente ha atacado, ha demonizado los inmigrantes. Es inaceptable. Voy a cambiar esto.
Who told him that was a good idea?
Got that, gringo? You can add the English language to the long and growing list of things the Democratic Party considers racist. How long before you're banned from speaking it? Think we're joking? Right. Better to learn Espanol if you want to talk to your grandkids. It's a brand new world. Some of the least impressive people in America are making the rules. Hope you're excited for it. At least men will be able to get free abortions. Even when they weren't speaking Spanish, when Democrats argued it was typically an effort to one-up one another on immigration. Who could be most radical? Watch this.
I want to make sure
I'm talking about everybody else.
With respect.
I'm still talking about everybody else.
But you're looking at just one small part of this. I'm talking about a comprehensive rewrite of our immigration laws.
That's not true.
And if we do that, I don't think it's asking
that's
too
actually
much
not
for
true.
people
I'm
to
talking
follow
about
our laws
I'm
when they
talking
come
about
to this
millions
country.
of folks. A lot of folks that are coming are not seeking asylum.
You're wound up.
So that was, it was just so much fun because I think, now, I want to give the powers that be, the globalists in control of all this, more credit than what they're showing. So I would like to think, back to the Michelle Obama Oprah thing, right?
I'm disappointed in the globalists.
No, I
am
want to
disappointed
give them this.
in the
I want to give them
globalists.
this. Do you guys agree with me? Do you think that this is their tactic to make the race so insane and crazy that the Democrat voters and the socialist voters are going to be pulling their hair out going, oh my gosh, there's no one here. And then in the end, they'll bring somebody, right?
That's
like,
the only plan.
and then that person is like, oh, thank God we got that.
They
one.
had to have been given a memo that said, "Go as crazy as you want."
Yeah. Say whatever you want. They
It's
all
like
kept
if conservatives were trying to get like a middle of the ground person, and they got like the craziest anarchist libertarian people out there, you know, and that was like the whole lineup.
I told you I watched that movie the other day where this girl hired this guy to come and meet her parents, who's super duper crazy and he acts like nuts, and then she brings in the real guy that she wants to date afterwards, and they're like, oh, we love you. Oh my gosh, you're so great.
That's gotta be it.
That has to be the plan.
But don't you think it could backfire?
I think so.
Because if they put in all their eggs in one basket, that one person may not, you know, might not even want to do it, or something might not, something crazy.
Okay, so before you get to that, let's do quickly, you can just go over some of the ones that you really want to talk about.
No, I was just going to give you some facts from last night. They kept talking about...
No, I want to do this first. Okay, so I'm going to pull these up so you and I can actually see them because they're really small there. Okay, so tell them about Cory Booker.
Cory Booker is Spartacus. He's a senator.
Spartacus.
I think he's half black, so he's half white, and he's the token black man running, because there actually aren't any black people running.
Okay, so but all of his views tend to lean with the Socialist Party.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you giving him as far as chances to be
0?
Okay, no, I mean to be groomed as the number 1.
0.
Okay, Kamala Harris.
She's actually not black either. She's half Jamaican, half Indian. And she went
but she's
to
playing the
school
black card
in like Canada. And she grew up in Jamaica. I don't know.
Did you want to tell him the buses thing?
But somehow there was some bus that somehow she wasn't bused, and somehow somebody said something mean, and she wasn't allowed to play with her because she was black. But she's only like part black. She's not African American. She's part Jamaican, part Indian, like from India.
So she has some of the most socialist.
She wants to take
views.
your guns.
She's also connected to Jussie Smollett.
Yeah. And she today came out when everybody was raising their hands on whether you would give free Medicare to illegal immigrants. She's like, well, I didn't know that's why I was raising my hand.
So she backpedaled a little bit. Okay, Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi's amazing. She's the only one really who deserves to sit on that stage.
And drop dead gorgeous.
John Kerry isn't running. He was not. Neither was Eric Holder.
Okay, well, these might have been dropouts. This is what I grabbed from CNN from some point, just to have the names with the pictures. But Tulsi Gabbard served in the military.
Out too.
Tulsi served in the military.
Sherrod Brown dropped out.
I'm talking about Tulsi.
She's amazing. She served in the military. She should actually be picked by Trump to replace John Bolton.
Are we going to play her clip where she shut down? Yeah. All right, so we'll get to that. And then Julian Castro.
Don't know much about him. I know he worked. I think he's a senator. He's so far left. It's unbelievable.
Well, he's like a socialist.
Yeah.
Okay, so John Delaney, we didn't know anything about him before the debates.
I'd heard a little bit about him. He's like the anti-socialist. He's like a real Democrat who is trying to like play like police with everybody, but it's not working.
Okay, so Andrew Yang, I'm really excited to talk about him.
He's a billionaire who is just fun. He's a funny person. He's a nice guy, but he wants to try to give everybody $1,000 a month.
$1,000.
It's not going to work.
Over 18.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
But he really laid it out in a way that he believed would totally work with trickle down. If you give him $1,000, it goes back into the economy, and this is how you pay for it, and yada, yada, yada. So Marianne Williamson, who is absolutely a hoot and hilarious.
She's funny.
She's
she's a
spiritual guru. And everything, her summation of last night was, I'm going to beat Donald Trump through love.
Yeah.
Like that. Okay. Yeah. Christine Gillibrand.
She tweeted out, "You're the light bulb, God's electricity, let him flow."
Okay. So she's trying to appeal to the Christian voter there.
She's a spiritualist.
Okay. So Christine Gillibrand cannot stand her. She
She's
spent the entire time
flipping flop,
talking over everyone.
Her favorite thing that she said, she's 52 years old. She's like, I come to this table as a young mom.
Oh my gosh. Well, her big claim to fame, which she kept saying over and over and over again, is that when she is elected president, she's going to get rid of like gerrymandering and she's going to literally get rid of all corruption in Washington. all of it. And she kept hitting that over and over again. Your favorite Pocahontas and mine.
We don't need
to talk about Elizabeth Warren.
Pete Buttigieg is a gay guy. He's really young, from Indiana. He's a mayor, and his town was embroiled in a shooting recently where a white cop shot a black guy.
So he also was the one that said, when I'm not changing diapers, I'm changing Washington, because he has a 2-year-old and an infant, from what I understand.
We all know about Beto. He's a has-been. He was on the cover of Vanity Fair when he was running against Ted Cruz, but now he's a nobody.
Yeah, and we all know about Bernie.
Eric Swalwell's a nobody, but he literally says on day one he will take all of your guns, pretty much all of your guns. I don't know much about anybody else on there. Amy Klobuchar was just like the nice person. She's kind of
some sort of middle of the road, and actually, she's more sound-minded than the rest, even though her policies aren't. But like, she sounds
on anti-Kavanaugh during the hearing.
Right.
She was on that committee.
Okay,
that's pretty much everybody.
All right, so I just kind of wanted to. I'm glad they didn't go with John Kerry again, because that would have just been a bore.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Now you have a
but
better
you know what?
understanding
He probably would have won. So
Democrat
I don't know why
field.
he won the nomination. Like, I don't know why they didn't pick any normal people. I'm just really at a loss for words. I don't understand. So everybody kept saying that Donald Trump, blah, 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 AOC came out, concentration camps, la, 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 la. But during Joe Biden's first 2 years as vice president, 785 migrants died attempting to cross the border legally, and 204 more than during Donald Trump's first 2 years. So why he is not being called out for killing immigrants, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and the same thing with the cages, which actually they're not cages. Everybody keeps talking about cages. They're not in cages. And Trump has actually done more than Obama and Biden did to reconcile families and to not tear them apart.
But neither of them, you guys, if you come over here illegally, whether you're with a family or not, you shouldn't be able to stay on this side of the border.
Right.
You got to go find a place to stay on the other side while your asylum is
You got to go home, but you can't stay here.
Okay, Kamala Harris tries to justify a mother paying a human trafficker to bring her child to the United States.
A mother who pays a coyote to transport her child through their country of origin, through the entire country of Mexico, facing unknown peril, to come here. Why would that mother do that? I will tell you. Because she has decided for that child to remain where they are is worse. But what does Donald Trump do? He says, go back to where you came from. That is not reflective of our America and our values, and it's got to end.
Whoa, you might as well just say, I am for pedophilia. And she had to say it in like some sort of Spanish accent. Coyote. Coyote. It's called human trafficking.
You do know what happens to almost every single little girl. I don't know why you used a little girl as your example. Every single little girl that comes over gets raped multiple times.
A coyote.
Even the ones that are with their families, their real families. I don't know. Are you, because coming here is better than that experience. Well, or excuse me, coming here is worth that experience. It's not actually. You just prostituted your daughter out.
So this was funny. Carpe Duncan put this together. Bernie Sanders got a little crazy with the podium.
The scientists tell us we have 12 years before there is irreparable damage to this planet. This is...
I'll make him small.
A global issue. What the President of the United States should do is not deny the reality of climate change, but tell the rest of the world that instead of spending $1.5 trillion on weapons of destruction, let us get together for the common enemy, and that is to transform the world's energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. The future of the planet rests on us doing this.
Before we go, hang on.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
It was so entertaining. It was really, really great to see these people act in such an immature manner, to talk over each other, to not abide by the moderators. You know, can you please give a 1 or 2 word answer, and then you give an entire 5 sentences at least.
So this was cool. Tons of support for Donald Trump at the Dem debate in Miami. A lot of signs were anti-socialist and Democrats for Trump. Hashtag walk away. Don't make America socialist. Socialism, stinks. I'm pro-Trump, free trade, dangerous socialism ahead, Venezuela. So
Yeah,
I thought
really
that
cool.
was cool. I'll play that in a second. We'll get through the debate here. I want to go back to Tulsi
So we have a
Gabbard.
really great. So can we just call it PV because they are censoring like everything. Project Veritas.
We can say it, but I can't play you the video.
I'm really worried about actually even saying the word because they do subtitles, right? So I want to say it in a way that like you guys know what I'm saying, but YouTube's subtitle thing does not.
Are you ready to go to Tulsi? We're going to go to Tulsi, and then we're going to go to the
love
Project
Tulsi
Veritas.
so much.
Back in America, though, the 2020 election will be the first election in which children born after 9/11 will be able to vote, which is bewildering to those of us who lived through it. During last night's debate, Congressman Tim Ryan of Ohio said it's America's duty to keep fighting in Afghanistan for some reason, 18 years after we toppled the Taliban. That turned out to be a mistake. Tulsi Gabbard, the only veteran on stage, corrected him. Watch this.
It's okay.
Is that what you will tell the parents of those 2 soldiers who were just killed in Afghanistan? Well, we just have to be engaged. As a soldier, I will tell you that answer is unacceptable. We have to bring our troops home from Afghanistan. We are in a place in Afghanistan where we have lost so many lives. We've spent so much money that's coming out of every one of our pockets, money that should be going into communities here at home, meeting the needs of the people here at home. We are no better off in Afghanistan today than we were when this war began.
Aloha, Congresswoman Gabbard.
Aloha, Tucker.
So I couldn't help but notice, and I'm sure you don't want to play the victim in this, but that you had, despite the fact that you won a number of online polls, you had the most Google searches, your name after the debate, you got some of the fewest minutes to speak of any of the 10 candidates on stage, and you were the only one who was essentially attacked personally by the moderators. Why do you think that was?
Look, it shows that there's a clear bias in place. I made the most of every minute that I had. Wish I had the opportunity to have more time to address these important issues. But I want to just point out something from that clip that you played that I think is really important, where we hear a lot of politicians say this same argument that, well, we've got to stay engaged in the world, otherwise we'll be isolationists, as though the only way the United States can engage with other countries is by blowing them up or strangling them
What a great
with
point,
economic
Tulsi.
sanctions, by smashing them and trying to overthrow their governments. This is exactly what's wrong with this whole premise and the whole view with which too many politicians, too many leaders in this country are viewing the United States' role in the world. How about the United States be a leader in the world, work out differences and build relationships with negotiations and diplomacy and finding common interests and seeing how we can work together so that we can stop sending our men and women in uniform into harm's way, serving in missions that do not serve the interests of the American people, that make our country less safe and actually end up causing more harm and more damage to the people in the countries where we wage these wasteful regime change wars. That's the kind of change in leadership that I'm seeking to bring as president.
You just mentioned sanctions. You're not questioning the ironclad bipartisan consensus in Washington that sanctions against Iran are morally right.
So, okay, that's good on Tulsi, but I just love her. I think she's amazing.
I would be afraid for her to actually run against Donald Trump because I think that she would do well. I still don't think she'd beat him, but I think that she would do really, really well. She is a socialist. I don't agree with her policies, but as a person, she's real. She is a genuine, and that's why they will not put anybody on this stage forth as their number one candidate that won't be a patsy. And Tulsi Gabbard won't be bought off. She's not going to walk their line. She's not going to dance to their tune and say the lines that they give her. And that's why they won't put her forward, which is why they are shooting themselves in the foot. They would rather fail at trying to achieve their colossal globalist plan where they have a puppet than to actually have a Democrat president. They'd rather Trump be president, okay, than to put forward a candidate that could beat Trump that they couldn't control. It's honestly, insanity and power hungriness at its epitome.
I don't know if she would beat him only because
No, I don't think she
aligns
would.
with him in a lot of ways.
Right.
So here's the hot mic thing that happened.
Is there a role for the federal government in order to get these guns off the streets?
What's happening?
We are hearing our colleagues' audio. If the control room can turn off the mics. Yeah, if the control room can turn off the mics of our previous moderators, we will.
I think it's the prior moderators.
You know, we prepared for everything.
Guess what, guys?
We did not prepare for
We are going to take a quick break. We're going to get this technical situation fixed. We will be right back.
Oops. And what's so funny to me is it actually happened twice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so you knew how to mute the mics of the people that you didn't want to speak, and yet you couldn't find out how to quickly mute the mics of the people who were not supposed to have
So
their
let's
mics
go
on.
over a few of their crazy ideas, okay? So I love this little picture here of the rainbows and unicorns 2020. So Senator Kamala Harris wants companies to prove that they pay men and women equally. Penalties if they don't, she shouts. But there are lots of reasons other than sexism why companies pay some men more than women. Harris also wants government to hold social media platforms accountable for the hate infiltrating their platforms but holding them accountable means censorship. If politicians get to censor media, they'll censor anyone who criticizes them. Bernie Sanders wants the post office to offer banking services. The post office, it already loses billions of dollars despite its monopoly on delivering mail. Sanders also wants to increase our national debt by forgiving $1.6 trillion in student debt loan. He wants to ban for-profit charter schools and freeze funding for nonprofit charters. That's great news for some government school bureaucrats and teachers unions that don't want to compete, but bad news for kids who flourish in charters when the government schools fail. Senator Cory Booker once sounded better about charters, saying, when people tell me they're against school choice or charter schools, I say, as soon as you're willing to send your kid to a failing school in my city, then I'll be with you. Unfortunately, now that Booker is presidential candidate, he says little about school choice. He also wants government to guarantee people's jobs and to pay for America's rent. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand wants to force everyone to buy fertility treatment insurance. Senator Elizabeth Warren wants to impose a wealth tax on very rich people that would certainly benefit accountants and tax lawyers while inspiring rich people to hide more assets instead of putting them to work. Warren also wants to ban all oil and gas drilling on federal land, have government decide who sits on corporate boards, and make college free. Have government decide who sits on corporate boards.
Wow.
The Democrat who leads the betting odds, Vice President Joe Biden, also says college should be free. Free? Colleges have already jacked up their prices much faster than inflation because taxpayers subsidize too much of college. And that's the ticket right there. If there weren't government subsidies, and here's the thing, you want to end the high prices. Here's the thing about healthcare. Here's the thing about college, and the things that are like, that do put people into debt, that do put people in, $250,000 for an art degree. You go to an emergency room and you shouldn't be fretting that you're going to come out and lose your house because your kid got tonsillitis.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's absolutely ridiculous. However, when it comes to like colleges, we have this thing, it's called federally backed student loans. And as soon as the feds decided that they would literally come into your house, your home, your job, and take all your loans that are not refinanceable. So you're stuck with that student loan at that rate forever.
Right.
Okay? That's absolutely insane. You should be able to refinance your student loans. It's so stupid. But anyways, remember how many companies would pop up tomorrow? But these federally backed student loans guarantee that the colleges can just give everybody an education, even if they don't deserve it, even if they know that they're giving them false hope, and they're not going to get any bang for their buck.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you told the colleges you're on the hook, you want to give a kid a loan, you want to give a kid some tuition reimbursement, you want to, that's fine, but we're not going to back it federally. Those prices are going to drop down because they know that they want the people to pay. They want the people to pay. But as long as the government says, don't worry, I will garnish their wages, they'll just jack up the prices and put kids needlessly, and no sane adult would tell an 18-year-old to take on $250,000 of debt?
Or $25,000 in debt.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. It used to be that whether it was a car or a house or going to college, you could afford to do that by having your parents just save away some money, like a college. You know they would say saving for college. It used to be if you saved like 10 grand, if you saved 5 grand. It used to be before inflation and the Federal Reserve, if you saved like, $500, you could go to college.
Right.
All right. And so what we have are products that, thanks to the Federal Reserve, they can charge exorbitant prices for, because they're allowing you to pay it over time. Prices get capped when credit is not a possibility.
Right. Okay, so we're going to get to huge censorship. I have Ted Cruz grilling Google. We've got Dan Crenshaw grilling Google. We have a lot of really good things I want to show you tonight. We're going to stay within the censorship limits while exposing the censorship tonight, so stay with us. But these are some of the awards because I can't, I really would love to talk all night about the Democrat thing because it was not boring. The debate. It was not boring. It was so fun to watch. It was it was literally, I hate clowns, but I like these ones. All right. The biggest flop was young Beto, don't call me Robert Francis O'Rourke. And did you know Bill de Blasio, that's not his given name? Like, he changed his name for, like, fame. Really weird.
That's strange.
Yeah, so let's see. Most inexplicable statement. If we had to deconstruct every inexplicable policy statement made over the 2 nights, it would take hours on end. Instead, we offer this. When asked, what would be his very first priority when he assumes the presidency in January 2021, if he were to be president? Joe Biden says, to defeat Donald Trump.
But if he was in the White House, then he would have already defeated him. And maybe he has a time ship.
Biggest surprise, group award. The second debate kicked off with Bernie Sanders promising to raise taxes to pay for his $30 trillion government-controlled Medicare for All program, while claiming, of course, that it will be offset by lower health costs. This set into motion a succession of candidates promising to do the same. For time immemorable, it was understood that you should never promise to raise taxes, for it would amount to certain defeat. Well, obviously, nobody cares about that now. Most socialist candidate, the hardest choice of all, given that every one of the 20 candidates on stage has openly voiced support for undiluted socialist policies, such as the Green New Deal and Medicare for All. So you have to give the award to the candidate who seems most committed to the gut on full collectivism.
In the gut.
In the gut. Thus, the winner would have to be Bernie Sanders, whose perpetual rage against the machine oozes authenticity. I watched him on that stage, and he was angry. He was calling for a revolution. He was literally, basically Fidel Castro on stage. It was a sight to behold here in America. Most moderate candidate, extremely low bar. I really think that was Delaney, but most humorous line. Another extremely low bar because there were all of about 3 humorous lines delivered over 4 grueling for the viewers hours by. Nobody really laughed. Like, we were laughing at them, but they weren't laughing. Okay? The winner is Senator Amy Klobuchar, who tweaked Trump. I don't think we should conduct foreign policy in our bathrobe at 5 in the morning. Pete Buttigieg said his foreign policy is hard to predict because we have no idea which of our most important allies Trump will have ticked off worse between now and then. And Kamala Harris scolding of her fellow debaters bickering amongst themselves and says, we got to put food on the table.
Oh, my
God. Most likable, I think that was Tulsi. But
okay, so while you're looking at what else you want to read in that article, I wanted to look up and see when the next debates are. They're going to be in July, the 30th and the 31st, 30th and 31st in Detroit. I love that it's going to be in Detroit. CNN is going to host it. Oh boy, that should be exciting. It was better with, I think, NBC. So in order for somebody to be, okay, read this to them and tell them what the, what to qualify for the second debates.
Okay, so as Vox Andrew Pro saying, candidates will have to hit one of two metrics to qualify. And I'm really hoping, Tulsi, please, if you are a liberal, just give her some money. Polling. A candidate could qualify by hitting just 1% in 3 separate polls released between January and a cutoff point June 12th. Wait.
No, can you not?
Which one? That says June 12th. That's like, we're past that.
I don't know. Maybe they have. Maybe the cutoff
Before
point
the first debate. Grassroots fundraising. Separately, a candidate could also qualify by raising money from at least 65,000 unique donors. If I don't know what the second debate.
This is everything you need to know about the second debates.
Well, maybe that was just the second one we watched last night. Like, what, the second round of debates?
No, this is the one in July.
Oh.
Second round of debates in July that's hosted by CNN. I think that they literally had to meet the cutoff point by the 12th.
Okay.
For the next debates. They get to go, for these ones. Yeah. And then the cutoff date was prior to these debates. Did I say the cutoff debate? The cutoff date.
We'll see. Yeah, so, I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, it's 65,000 unique donors. So they would have had...
Okay, so a bunch of the people that we saw last night didn't qualify. There's only 14 that qualify for polling.
So Tulsi is not on there.
She is.
Oh, yeah, there she is. Okay, cool. So we've got Joe Biden, Bernie, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Beto O'Rourke, Cory Booker, Amy Klobuchar, Castro, I don't know who Inslee is, Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Lang, Marianne Williamson. She's the spiritual guru. That's going to be great. And Christine Gillibrand.
Only 6 met the polling. Eric Swalwell.
Wow.
Tim Ryan. Oh, no, these are the people that didn't meet the fundraising.
Oh, okay.
And 4 candidates didn't meet either.
Okay, but these are the ones that did qualify for both the polling and the fundraising.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. Now, a few days ago, I can't remember when it was, Monday. Project Veritas dropped a video.
I told you not to
I'm going to say that. I can say Project Veritas.
I don't think you should.
I'm just not going to play the video that he recorded.
The reason why we are not streaming on Facebook right now is because of the PV that we did. They took down our video and they have revoked our live streaming ability.
Because we played the one
clip.
Yeah.
So we have to get that worked out and fixed. I didn't realize that I was going to... Can you not... What is happening?
I'm going to go ahead and play the Tucker version.
Oh, no. Leah, you dropped your little...
My little ball. She wants a little ball.
She wants those, yeah.
Welcome back to Tucker Carlson Tonight, live from Tokyo, Japan, ahead of the president's visit and our interview with tech story that might seem insignificant, but is not. In fact, it may determine what happens in the next presidential election, very well may. A Google whistleblower has come forward to describe his company's plans to remake the American political landscape.
No, it's the playing the part where she talks is what gets you.
Most powerful company in the world. So when an anonymous whistleblower comes forward, in this case telling Project Veritas that Google is using internal algorithms to shape what Americans see online, and by extension what they think, you better take it seriously.
What is this?
Fairness is a dog whistle. It does not mean what you think that it means, and you have to apply double think in order to understand.
Now, let me explain, because you're not going to be able to see the whole video. There's a whistleblower that came forth and brought forth documents showing that Google has this thing called the fairness doctrine, but it doesn't mean that things are going to be fair. So, for example, if they believe that women should have more CEO positions in the country, and you Google CEOs in America, because of their fairness doctrine, they'll put more women in the search results.
Right.
Even though the top CEOs might be more male.
Right.
Okay? Same thing with Hillary Clinton and all those things. Now, there was another document that came out that all those chants, no border, no wall, no USA at all, is a Google chant.
They made it
up.
They
made it up. They have a video recording that this is the one we can't share because they're taking down for privacy reasons, is they have this Irish woman who is a Google exec say, I know Elizabeth Warren wants to break up big tech and break up Google, but that's a bad idea because only we have the power to prevent another Trump in 2020. And they listed, there was some documents that came out that listed Ben Shapiro. Considering Ben Shapiro, Dennis Prager, and Dave Rubin are Nazis, what do we do about it? That's the Google premise. They are Nazis, but 2 of those guys are Jewish. So I'm going to go ahead. So the fairness doctrine is what makes it so our search results do not yield. So here's the thing. I do use Google still sometimes. But if I know I'm going to Google something like Clinton corruption or anything or vaccines or anything that I know that's going to be even a little bit controversial, I go to DuckDuckGo.
Right.
Because I'm going to get real search results there.
So as you play this, maybe you could periodically stop it, because sometimes that helps. I know, if it's going to go for a while longer.
Okay.
And what they're really saying. And what they're really saying about fairness is that they have to manipulate their search results so that it gives them their political agenda that they want. And so they have to rebias their algorithms so that they can get their agenda across.
That's the definition of propaganda, again, being perpetuated by the single most powerful company.
Google is the most powerful company in the entire world, and they are manipulating elections. Now, I thought to myself during the 2018 election that there would be a landslide in the House of Republicans, and there should have been. Sorry, I know it's so unladylike when I try to get off my seat. Definitely knock me off a rocker. And there should have been a landslide. However, Google did a lot of manipulating search results. They even encouraged ride sharing and getting people to vote, but only for Democrats.
Right.
In the history of the world. This is not surprising to viewers of this show. James Doran was fired for Google for his political views, his totally conventional, moderate political views, and then came on this show to describe the culture at Google. Watch this.
There are definitely some political biases within Google that I was trying to shed light on in the document, and that they affect many parts of the business, and, for example, who they do business with and what type of content they create. And I really think that those political biases need to be addressed.
It's not just whistleblowers, excuse me, hidden camera footage obtained by Project Veritas shows a conversation with a woman called Jen Janai. Her Google title is Head of Responsible Innovations in the Global Affairs Department. In that video, Janai says that Google is working specifically on products to make certain that Donald Trump does not win another election. Quote, "We're also training our algorithms, like if 2016 happened again, would the outcome be different?" People were not putting that line in the sand.
So in 2016, even though we know that they were manipulating search results in favor of Hillary Clinton, something still got through.
Right.
And they said people at Google were not putting enough, putting that line in the sand that they wanted them to, so that Donald Trump wouldn't have gotten elected. So they want to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Exactly.
Now, we cannot show you that video.
Right.
Because Project Veritas has been kicked off of Vimeo for the video. Their video has been taken down, even though Ted Cruz's video of it is up. And
I had to cut it out of our last stream on YouTube.
I didn't play that video. I haven't played that video yet.
Oh, well, whichever one I had to cut out.
That was another one.
Another Project Veritas one.
That they were not saying that what's fair and what's equitable. So we're like, well, we're a big company. We're going to say it.
We weren't saying what's fair and equitable. So they're going to make everybody say it. They have a doctrine called a single truth, one truth doctrine. And then they go through that one truth. So abortion is a right and pro-life is bad. That's their one truth.
Right.
So they're going to downgrade pro-life sites.
So they are like a religion.
Oh, it's a cult. It is a religious cult.
And so they're going to follow their religious documents.
Right.
And not allow anybody on their massive tech giant platforms or searching or whatever.
Right.
If they do not conform to their religious beliefs.
Exactly.
In other words, we're going to try and affect the outcome of the 2020 presidential campaign. Janai goes on to blast Elizabeth Warren's proposal to break Google up into 2 companies. Why? Check out this reasoning. Quote, "All these smaller companies who don't have the same resources that we do will be charged with preventing the next Trump situation. It's like a small company cannot do that." Huh. So using a company's dominance on the internet to sway the outcome of an election. That's their plan. There should be a term for what Janai is describing. Turns out there is a term. It's a term you've heard constantly from talking heads on television for more than 2 years. It's called hacking an election. Google wants to hack our election. They're saying that out loud. As we've been told over and over again by CNN and the Washington Post and the New York Times and all the other propagandists, hacking an election is very bad. At minimum, it warrants a multi-year investigation by law enforcement agencies. And yet, it's happening now. The Washington establishment has said they want to prevent election interference, but of course that's a lie. They just want to make sure they control the elections. That's their only goal. That's why they're not attacking the real source of election interference, which is Silicon Valley. Google, Facebook, and their ilk have far more political power than Russia ever has or ever will have. No serious person doubts that. But the people...
Okay, so you needed to see that to make everything else make sense that I'm going to share with you. All right, so here we have Representative Dan Crenshaw asks the Google exec about this leaked email that calls Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, and Prager. I guess it was Jordan Peterson.
From Texas for 5 minutes, Mr. Crenshaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for some of the thoughtful discussion on how you combat terrorism online. I think there's worthy debates to be had there. And there's good questions on whether some of this content provides education so that we know of the bad things out there, or whether it's radicalizing people. Those are hard discussions to have, and I don't know that we're going to solve them today. But the problem is that the testimony doesn't stop there. The policies at your social media companies do not stop there. It doesn't stop at the clear-cut lines of terrorism and terrorist videos and terrorist propaganda. Unfortunately, that's not exactly what we're talking about. It goes much further than that. It goes down the slippery slope of what speech is appropriate for your platform and the vague standards that you employ in order to decide what is appropriate. And this is especially concerning given the recent news and the recent leaked emails from Google. They show that labeling mainstream conservative media as Nazis is a premise upon which you operate. It's not even a question, according to those emails. The emails say, given that Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, and Dennis Prager are Nazis, given that that's a premise, what do we do about it? 2 of 3 of these people are Jewish, very religious Jews, and yet you think they're Nazis. It begs the question, what kind of education do people at Google have? So they think that religious Jews are Nazis? 3 of 3 of these people had family members killed in the Holocaust. Ben Shapiro is the #1 target of the alt-right, and yet you people operate off the premise that he's a Nazi. It's pretty disturbing. And it gets to the question, do you believe in hate speech? How do you define that? Can you give me a quick definition right now? Is it written down somewhere, Google? Can you give me a definition of hate speech?
Congressman, yes, so...
Okay, you don't even need to hear what their hate speech is.
Well done, Crenshaw.
Exactly. So, Project Veritas. YouTube bans the Pinterest investigation. That was what got taken down, the Pinterest investigation. Twitter suspends Veritas for Pinterest story. Reddit bans Project Veritas all the way. YouTube bans the Google investigation video, and Vimeo removes Project Veritas' entire account. Do you not think that big tech is working together? We're looking at, I think, a multilateral thing where Project Veritas actually is going to have a big case to sue, and I hope that they do.
Well, and I also hope that Donald Trump gets the message really quick. And Tucker Carlson, thank you. I'm hoping he had a meeting with, or an interview with Donald Trump yesterday. It's going to air on Monday night.
Yeah, I really
I'm
hope
hoping that in that time, he was able to really stress to him, Trump, if you do not do something about this censorship, you will not win in 2020.
So the subreddit, the Donald, was the biggest Reddit, I think, on Reddit. The Donald was efficiently quarantined by Reddit. They want to totally suppress. They were the biggest meme makers. Helped get Donald Trump elected. Now,
this is so great.
I'll come to that in a second and give you a little more information in the background of this. I'm not going to play this video because it's kind of highly disturbing. But Ireland repealed an abortion ban.
Right.
YouTube manipulated search results, and Project Veritas has the documents that say that they banned pro-life searches.
You mean Facebook?
No, I'm talking about YouTube.
Okay.
I'm talking about YouTube right now.
Okay.
YouTube banned search results for pro-life. There's about 20 different lists.
In Ireland?
In Ireland during that referendum. Facebook says that they saw American companies advertising to promote pro-life in Ireland, and they went to the Irish government and said, what do you want us to do about it? They blocked them all. Now, these are just companies, pro-life companies. This is not election interference. This isn't a government. That is election interference.
Right.
Okay? We are aren't we multicultural? Aren't we international? Shouldn't we be able to, as Americans, say something about an election?
No, they're only inclusive for the people they want to be inclusive, and yet they tout their claim to inclusivity, but they are actually the most exclusive political party in the history of politics.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Speaking of censorship, Twitter says that they are going to start censoring Donald Trump.
His tweets.
Yeah.
They've admitted this, which on the one hand, like we always say on our show, when the devil comes at you with a pitchfork and horns instead of as an angel of light, it's actually way easier to deal with. So now that these guys have become so emblazoned and emboldened to come out and just say, as Facebook bragging about altering an election in Ireland, or, Twitter saying, listen, we don't want Donald Trump to be elected in 2020, so we're going to start reining in his tweets because we don't agree with what he has to say. That's actually a good sign of their desperation.
This is really weird. I can't bring up the article, but it says Twitter lays groundwork for potentially downgrading some of Trump's tweets, but it literally will not open. So
I'm just curious what they think that's gonna do for President Trump's fervor to fight censorship. It's kind of like, do you remember when? Well, it was a little bit before our time, but I think it was still in the 80s when all homosexuals started to come out of the closet. And it was a big deal. Like, we're tired of being ashamed. We're tired of having to hide our feelings in the closet and be ashamed of who we are. And we're going to come out. Well, that's actually fine for homosexuals because nobody really cares.
Right.
But these tech giants think that they're having some sort of coming out moment of, well, we don't agree with Donald Trump, and it's socially acceptable not to agree with Donald Trump, and so we are going to come out and just flat out tell everyone that we are censoring all Nazis, all people that we view as Nazis, and we're going to just, it's like a fart you can't hold in, you might as well own it. They just blasted that thing so loud and started laughing about it. I mean, that's because they can't keep it in any longer. So they're like, why don't we just claim this one? Who smelt it, dealt it. I did it. I did do that fart, and I'm proud of that fart. My mom is going to get so mad at me for saying the F-bomb on this show. She does not like that 4-letter word.
Twitter announced on Thursday that it would censor President Donald Trump's tweets, going into the 2020 election by downranking those which violate their rules via algorithms. Offensive material from the president will also receive a label
offensive
that applies to all verified political candidates and government officials over 100,000 followers. Before users can view the language in newly flagged tweets, they will have to click on a screen that says the Twitter rules about this abusive behavior apply to this tweet. However, Twitter has determined that it may be in the public interest for the tweet to remain available. The company also said it will set up a special team tasked with enforcing the policy. And the notification label will appear only on rare occasions, they said.
Wow.
Twitter will deprioritize the labeled tweets so that they would be seen by fewer people, like all my tweets are. Only it's funny because BitChute follows me, and I follow BitChute. And so whenever I tweet out a BitChute thing or tweet to them, then I see how normal Twitter would actually react if they could see me. It's fun. They'll be seen by fewer people according to the report, which adds the policy will go into effect immediately and will not apply to other influential leaders. It is also not retroactive. No other, but just President Trump.
Wow.
I'm sure Twitter will apply this fairly across the board and won't use it to target conservatives. Big tech is so determined to stop Donald Trump's re-election that they are willing to kill what made their platforms popular in the first place.
Free speech.
In the past, we've allowed certain tweets that violated our rules to remain on Twitter because they were in the public interest, but it wasn't clear when and how we made those determinations. To fix that, we're introducing a new notice that will provide additional clarity to those situations. Donald Trump, Barney Frank look disgusting. Oh, that would be very disrespectful. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Then that was in 2011. That might have been something mean. But here's the thing. What I hope is if Donald Trump starts to go to some other place, everyone will follow him because everybody wants to hear what he has to say anyway.
Right, exactly. So it could be, what is it, ThinkSpot?
I don't think it'll be there because Donald Trump likes the quick jabs. I don't think it'll be Gab, and I think he might start his own. That'd be good. New leaked doc shows Google's protesting guide, the beginner's guide to protesting. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it now? No ban, no wall. No hate, no fear. Refugees are welcome here. From Palestine and Mexico, all walls have to go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Bring your rich, bring your poor. 5, 6, 7, 8. No more fear, no more hate.
Whoever came up with those should get an award for stupidity.
Okay, where are you going?
He can go up, I guess.
But not by himself.
All right, so here is Senator Cruz interviewing
Senior executives at Google. Do you know of a single one who voted?
Okay, here we go.
Case of the senior executives at Google. Do you know of a single one who voted for Donald Trump?
Thank you, Senator. I'm a user experience director and I work on Google Digital Wellbeing, and I can tell you we have diverse views, but I can't.
Simple question. Do you know of anyone who voted for Trump? Of the senior
I definitely know of people who voted for Trump.
Of the senior executives at Google.
I don't talk politics with my workmate.
Is that a no?
Sorry, is that a no to what?
Do you know of any senior executives, even a single senior executive at the company who voted for Donald Trump?
As the digital well-being expert, I don't think this is in my purview to comment on
So you don't know that. That's all right. You don't have to know.
I definitely don't know.
I can tell you what the public records show. The public records show that in 2016, Google employees gave to the Hillary Clinton campaign $1.315 million. That's a lot of money. Care to venture how much they gave to the Trump campaign?
I would have no idea, sir.
Well, the nice thing is it's a round number, $0.00. Not a penny, according to the public reports.
Wow, not a penny, but we're diverse. We're diverse. So this is the project. This is the Pinterest Project Veritas whistleblower. He says, "How is removing 2 massive Project Veritas exposés on big tech holding any consistent standard? Do CNN and New York Times get stories removed from YouTube? Nobody believes this." YouTube Insider says, "We have a lot of questions today, clarifying we apply our policies fairly and without political bias. All creators are held to the same standard." Politically speaking, yes, they are, because you can't be a conservative. We played the Dan Crenshaw video. So is our little break here in the censorship, because I'm going to play a little meme that was really funny that made Michelle and my day. It was really hilarious. I'm going to actually ask her to bring it up if she can. But I'm going to play this because Donald Trump spoke at the Faith and Freedom Coalition and
preserving our country's vital tradition of faith-based adoption. And we're proudly defending the sanctity of life. But keep fighting, because as most of the people in the room know, it's very fragile. Unfortunately, Democrat politicians have become increasingly hostile to pro-life America.
Yes, Democrat
who want to
politicians
help
have
more
become
children
hostile
find
to
a loving
pro-life.
home and share their dreams with the world. Virtually every top Democrat lawmaker now supports taxpayer-funded abortion right up to the moment of birth. And by the way, if you watched Virginia, the governor, after the moment of birth, that was something that nobody heard of before. After the moment of birth. Nobody believed it. I had never heard of it. I don't think anybody had heard of it. When he talked about wrapping the child and then discussing with the mother whether or not she wants to keep, the child is born. So that becomes an execution. That becomes an execution. Every child, born and unborn, is made in the holy image of God. And that is why I have asked Congress to prohibit the late-term abortion of babies.
Babies. I like when he says that.
And they'll do that.
And they'll do that.
Here's the thing. If Donald Trump were a racist, most abortions are on black women. So why would he want black babies being born and not executed?
Right.
He's a really bad racist. Really bad racist. Okay, Soros-backed groups demands financial blacklisting of conservatives. As if you didn't know already. As if censorship isn't enough, leftists have decided to ramp up their demands that those who have a different political view be financially blacklisted.
Wow.
We know that for Alex Jones, he can't even use PayPal.
Right. Well, Patreon, any of these. It's not just Alex Jones, though, because how many of these people have come forward that Chase Bank won't even let them bank there anymore?
A coalition of far-left political activist organizations known for peddling smears about conservatives held a protest at MasterCard's annual general meeting today, demanding that the international credit card giant financially blacklist wider sections of the political right. Fortunately, MasterCard didn't cave to the tyrannical demands of George Soros-backed groups. According to Breitbart, MasterCard's AGM, the far-left groups Some of Us and Sleeping Giants, Soros-backed, circled the venue with a mobile billboard stating, "Putting hate groups out of business, #priceless." We know that some aren't using, you can't use it to buy guns now. I'm not sure who that is, but I read that somewhere on one of these. Okay, the group's proposal to form a human rights committee did not sway shareholders who voted the measure down. According to a press release published by the two organizations, this was coupled with a speech from the Sleeping Giants co-founder Nandini Jemmy addressing the need for MasterCard to take swift action by cutting off its services to these hate groups. Socialists just can't stand it when people have access to their own money and spend it how they want. It's control these sociopaths seek. Some of Us is purportedly a human rights activist group that now campaigns to make speech with which it politically disagrees with unprofitable. Its website lists a number of powerful left-wing foundations among its partners, including George Soros Open Society Foundation, the Tides Foundation, Media Democracy Fund, and the Rockefeller Brothers Foundation. Earlier this year, Some of Us presented a proposal to MasterCard shareholders calling for the company to establish a human rights committee that would monitor payments to the far right.
Wow.
The protest aimed to pressure MasterCard to accept the proposal. Shareholders voted it down. They even had to vote on it. They voted on it. Sleeping Giants was formed with the sole purpose of smearing those who have differing political views. The group's founders initially refused to take accountability for the organization's words and actions by remaining anonymous. Sleeping Giants was set up in 2016 by far-left political activists with the sole stated purpose of defunding Breitbart by spreading lies about it. The identity of its other founder, a former advertising professional, Matt Rivets, was revealed last year. Sleeping Giants coupled these smears with targeted social media harassment campaigns against corporations whose ads appear on Breitbart News. Although MasterCard's board says it is committed to the principle of allowing all lawful purchases, online payments platform Patreon says that MasterCard asked it to withdraw service from Islam critic Robert Spencer, founder of Jihad Watch, in August of 2018. MasterCard also pressured a payment processor to cut off service to conservative activist think tank founder and author David Horowitz last year. But later, the processor reinstated service following pressure from Breitbart News and other conservative media. There have been some liberal groups coming to the defense of conservatives and sounding the alarm on the blatant censorship and financial blacklisting. Let's see. In July of last year, the Electronic Frontier Foundation warned the bank's credit card companies and payment processors are becoming de facto internet censors. Now, if you can't defeat your opponent's ideas, shut them down, kneecap them, and totally silence them. I mean,
So-
it's literally Karate Kid. Like, take out the knee.
Okay, so a couple things here.
It's so insane because they literally cannot meet one-on-one with the arguments.
As if your credit card should be monitoring. What's wrong with you? Should be monitoring your purchases to start with, whatever they are. I don't care what you're buying. With your credit card company is not the police. It is not their job to investigate you or your purchases. They're not trained for that. You have to go to police academy to be a police officer. Okay? That's not their job to police what you are or are not buying. Then I wanted to address, a lot of people on our show that watch our show are what I call end timers. They believe we're in the last days.
Longer to be 666.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Okay. Now, we aren't exactly end timers. I think we got a while to go. I'm really excited about the changes that are going to happen. I think God's moving, and we're going to get to that. But
self-fulfilling prophecies.
When you look at what is happening right now, everybody kept thinking it was going to be some sort of chip that they implant in you. And when they did invent chips, they thought, this is it. This is why we're in the end times. We already can't buy or sell without the mark of the beast. You already can't buy or sell without the mark of the beast. And this is just an example of more of that. Unless you choose to conform to the way they want you to believe, the way they say your mind should be programmed, we will not allow you to buy or sell with our credit card. And then everybody says, well, I'll just move to the next credit card. You move to the next credit card. Well, I'll just move to cash. Well, cash is about to fail. Okay, and they're going to move to a solely digital currency. So all you people that love your cash and love to walk around with cash, say goodbye to the cash, because it's going the way of...
But here's the thing. I think what you're trying to get to is, if you believe we're in times, you're going to say, oh, this is great, because that means Jesus coming back, so you don't fight it.
Exactly.
And so then you have a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we're all about fighting it, and not just, I'm not going to go down without a fight. I mean, it's absolutely insane to just be like, oh, Jesus is coming back. This is fantastic. No, it's stupid. It's wrong.
Well, especially when you can't be 100% sure. And so if you're not 100% sure, which it's impossible for you to be 100% sure, and you sit on your hands and say, God's going to come back and say, listen, you weren't on my side. You weren't fighting to the end. There's scriptures about that. You ought to be fighting like he's not coming back for 1,000 years. You ought to be witnessing like he's coming back tomorrow. You got to be able to converge the two. Okay.
So, random news here. Teen Vogue promotes the legacy of Karl Marx to its 3.3 million Twitter followers.
That's scary.
On Karl Marx's 200-year birthday, says Marx's ideas can still teach us about the past and the present.
No way.
Here's what didn't work and why we should never attempt it again. No, they did not say that. They quote, his writings have inspired social movements in Soviet Russia, China, Cuba, Argentina, Ghana, Burkina Faso, and more. Many political writers and artists like Angela Davis, Malcolm X, Claudia Jones, and Helen Keller integrated Marxist theory into their works decades after his death.
He was an editor of a newspaper that was eventually censored by the Prussian government for speaking out against censorship and challenging the government. So the way to defeat censorship is by censoring those that you disagree with.
Then the article goes on to cite high school English teacher Mark Brunt, who encourages his student to learn the legacy of Karl Marx's idea. I do a little role-playing with my class. I tell them, I'm the boss, you're my workers, and you want to try to take me down. I have the money, I own the factory, I control the police, I control the military, I control the government. What do you guys have? It's always just one student whose hands shoot up and says, we outnumber you. Brunt then ostensibly uses the line of logic to try to empower students to rebel, teaching them about the tension between the proletariat and the bourgeoisie, and reminding students that workers in factories had very little control over their work, including their working conditions, compared to the profiteering factory owners. How about we get the people out of the factory and on their own farms? But no, that's not Karl Marx's idea, because part of the Communist Manifesto is that everything is owned by this government that's so bad and controlling. But then Almost comically, the article dryly notes, if such a revolution occurred in Brunt's classroom, his students would overthrow him as a teacher, and the principal, and the superintendent, and so on. Yeah, but the indoctrination doesn't stop there. With Brunt working to convince his students that they are being tricked and could be playing into false consciousnesses, Brunt tells his students, false consciousness is when you think that the social conditions are different than they actually are. You're tricked into thinking your allies are different and your enemies are different than they actually are. It's not just Brunt the article cites. Teen Vogue also pointed out to former Drexel professor George, Mayer, who reminds his students that capitalism emerged through a state of violence. When I teach Marx, it's got a lot to do with questions about how to think critically about history. Marx says we live under capitalism, but capitalism has not always existed. It's something that came into being. It's something that, as a result, just on a logical level, could disappear, could be overthrown.
Everybody earning and living off of what they actually put into it is somehow more evil than the people that do no work sharing in the people who do work.
Bad news for California gun owners, because I could go on and on Karl Marx all day, and I already just did the whole Dem socialist thing. California gun owners have been rushing to buy bullets before a new background check law goes into effect statewide Monday, the first of its kind in the nation. In the last 2 weeks, this person says, I've been up about 300%. People bulking up. Enacted in 2016, Proposition 63 and SB 1235 require one of two types of background check when buying any type of ammunition for a firearm. A $1 standard ammunition eligibility check for anyone who has legally purchased a handgun in the state since 1990, which takes 2 to 3 minutes, or a more invasive $19 basic ammunition eligibility check that would take up to 10 days to complete. Those with a valid certificate of eligibility issued by the DOJ would require the $1 fee. The instant background checks will reference information on file at the DOJ's automated firearms system. The detailed overview of the law can be found here. So, let's see. There are currently 10 bills pending in the state legislature.
This is probably not for you.
Hey,
whatever
buddy,
it
what
is.
you got?
It's Nancy's marble.
No more marbles.
We have a dog here who likes to chew on things, so we have to kind of constantly keep one eye on her and one eye on
So,
you.
can Californians purchase ammunition outside of the state and bring it back? No. You may, however, purchase ammo and have it delivered to a licensed vendor in California to pick it up. So you can't go in another state to buy ammo.
Wow.
Do I need a California driver's license to purchase ammo? Under California law, no, but California Department of Justice has independently indicated one will be required this in a couple weeks.
Just move out of California.
Are concealed weapons holders exempt from ammunition background check requirements? No. How much will the required background check cost? $1 or $19? And then there's more in the works. I believe, I don't know if this is the one, but they want one that wants to pass where you can't buy from, I don't think you can buy in the state of California if you're from another state with this law.
That makes sense.
So if you run out of ammo and you're in California,
you're sunk.
This is kind of sad. Supreme Court deals blow to Alabama pro-life. The Supreme Court on Friday dealt a blow to Alabama pro-life advocates by declining to hear a case over a law which would ban the procedure with few exceptions.
And from what I understand, Brett Kavanaugh actually voted in favor of disbanding this and not listening to it.
The decision to punt on the case means the lower court rulings striking down the recently passed law banning dilation and evacuation abortions will stand. Justice Clarence Thomas wrote in a concurring opinion that he agreed the court should not hear the case, but called it a stark reminder that our abortion jurisprudence has spiraled out of control. Although this case does not present the opportunity to address our demonstrably erroneous undue burden standard, we cannot continue blinking the reality of what this court has wrought, said Clarence Thomas. Justices have previously turned down similar cases from Indiana and Louisiana. So that's not really awesome. On Sunday we're gonna talk about the G20 summit.
I had put that in the title because I thought you were gonna talk about it today, but I could take it out of the title.
Yeah, we're running low on time, so you can talk about censorship in the title. I don't know.
Well, no, because then that'll get censored. It's fine.
So we're also gonna see. I'm gonna play this again. Putin laughing after grinning. Trump.
Well,
says,
that is in that. I mean, that's what I put in the picture. Actually, Putin and Trump. Can you tell them about that?
Okay, so prompted by reporters' questions, Trump tells Putin, "Don't meddle in the election, please."
Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
How can they even? So I think we might have missed it within there. I think it was all over the.
Yeah.
No, leave that to the wall. Please.
Is there another chew thing?
There is. She's just trying to take my.
There's one in that bed with a knot on it. There was a better video of Trump saying, "Don't meddle in the election."
So they asked asked Trump if he was going to tell Putin not to meddle in our election, and Trump literally says to Putin, "Don't meddle in our election."
Yeah.
It's really awesome.
So Trump is angry after the ridiculous Supreme Court blocks citizenship question, asks lawyers to delay census. President Trump responded to the Supreme Court's decision to block the citizen question. This is because of Justice Roberts, who's actually a liberal, who supposedly was a conservative, but he's not. He keeps siding with Obama and everything, Obamacare, same-sex marriage, and everything like that. Seems totally ridiculous that our government, and indeed country, cannot ask a basic question of citizenship in a very expensive, detailed, and important census, adding that he is asking White House lawyers in 2020, and that if the 2020 census can be delayed until the Supreme Court can consider additional information from which it can make a final decisive decision. The U.S. Supreme Court dealt a blow to the Trump administration on Thursday, backing lower court decisions which found the government's reasoning for placing a citizenship question on the 2020 question to be invalid. Chief Justice Roberts joined the liberal justices in 5-4. So insane. The Trump administration argued that the citizenship question is necessary to better comply with the voting rights law, which critics say it is an attempt to intimidate households with illegal immigrants into declining to answer the census. With fewer people filling out census, legislative seats are more likely to garner Republican congressional districts. With fewer people filling out censuses, because they're here illegally, legislative seats are more likely to garner Republican congressional districts through gerrymandering. That's not exactly how this works. If you're not a citizen, then you're not supposed to vote. So you wouldn't answer the census question. So, but you could. That's how these Democrats are getting more seats.
Right. That's why they're against this.
In April, President Trump tweeted, "Can you believe that the radical left Democrats wanted to do our new and very important Census Bureau without the all-important citizen question? Report would be meaningless and a waste of billions that it costs to put together." The Trump administration, meanwhile, asserted executive privilege over materials related to the citizenship question, which Chief Justice Roberts thought was insufficient. It's absolutely crazy. Separately, the USSC left the topic of gerrymandering to the states, with Roberts writing, "We conclude that partisan gerrymandering claims present political questions beyond the reach of the federal courts."
I'm actually really curious with these censorship polls that they put out, that they send out, and you have people that go door to door asking people to, did you fill out your census thing? We don't usually fill them out because we kind of feel it's an invasion of privacy.
Yeah.
And so my question is, I'm very curious how the citizenship question crosses the privacy line that, like, let's say how much money you make, or how many kids you have, or what your household is like. Like, how is whether you are a citizen a more invasive question?
Only citizens are supposed to vote in our elections, but that they don't want.
And they're terrified of the amount of responses that will come back being not citizens.
Millions. Democrats would never win another election if they didn't have illegal people on the census.
Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. So I think I'm following in the chat that Eric Butler is sick.
Aww.
If he is, we are praying for him. Let me know if I'm correct on that from the chat.
Okay.
Is that the end of the show?
Yeah, I had another couple little funny things, but I think we should probably,
yes.
AOC was caught, she put out these pictures of herself at the border, crying. But what everybody is saying is that it's clown world because there's nobody on
the
the other
humanity.
side of the fence.
I'll never forget this because it was the moment I saw with my own eyes that the America I love was becoming a nation that steals refugee children from their parents and cages them. I feel her emotions in every single picture, especially the last one. It's pure anger, and how can one not feel anger after seeing what she saw?
Really? So what did she see? Distraught children separated from their parents, Mexican minors left to suffer alone in metal cages, crying kids interned in barbaric concentration camps. Turns out, it was an empty parking lot. Oh, the humanity.
It's pure anger, and how can one not feel anger after seeing what she saw?
I mean, sometimes I get a bit peeved if I see a car parked slightly over the line when there's plenty of room. But pure anger? Not really. Why so serious? I mean, we know AOC is big on the environment. Maybe she was mad at the lack of trees.
I saw with my own eyes that the America I love was becoming a nation that steals refugee children from their parents and cages them.
Yeah, you saw with your own eyes a few bored cops and a few dozen hysterical, sanctimonious idiots pretending to cry over nothing for a crass photo op. That's what you saw. Oh, the humanity. I'm just glad that Uncle Joe was there to comfort her. I'm just glad that she was able to visit a Planned Parenthood abortion mill afterwards to cheer herself up. Oh, the humanity. I'm just glad that this photographer and this photographer and this photographer all captured her authentic, in-the-moment, grief-ridden reaction to an empty parking lot in photos that were definitely not staged. This definitely wasn't a photo op attended by over a dozen virtue-signaling celebrities, and it's definitely not a little odd to show up to a protest in the middle of a desert dressed in a pristine white outfit wearing bright red lipstick and a luxury watch, because this definitely wasn't staged.
Oh my gosh, I am so upset. I'm just like, oh, I didn't even know there was going to be a camera crew here today. You need to let those children go. Oh my gosh, I can't take it. I'm going to faint. Let those children go.
Did you get that? Did you guys get a picture of that?
Guys, please make sure you get my $1,000 Gucci watch and my designer boots in every shot, okay?
When you're wanting Chick-fil-A really bad and you realise it's a Sunday, when you accidentally step on your dog's foot. After gorging herself on burritos and retried beans, AOC realised she had picked the wrong day to wear white. When you realise the electricity it takes to power waste disposal units means the world's gonna end in 11 years, not 12. When the bread line is too long. Alright, no more boomer memes, I promise. AOC's reaction in these photos is about as authentic as her fake black accent.
Looks like ain't nothing wrong with that.
Not authentic. It's about as authentic as her claim of growing up in the Bronx, when in reality she spent most of her childhood in Yorktown Heights, which is 90% white. Not authentic. It's about as authentic as her claim to care about the financial struggles of working class New Yorkers, when she literally helped cancel a deal that would have brought 25,000 new jobs to New York. Not authentic.
Thank you for that, Paul Joseph Watson. That was really great. So, I guess, yes, Eric is in the hospital. And so we're definitely praying for him. Kelly says, hey, are you covering Elizabeth Warren and she/they weren't going to leave the children that need to be back with their families, and then she left an hour later? That is awesome. Thank you for that, Kelly. So I'm glad that you guys were here. Did we have a fun show? Because I think we had a great show. I'm really excited about
Clown World.
Okay, I just gotta for a minute, and
you're not gonna fart, are you?
No, thank you.
And then you're gonna shout there and own it.
I know. I might. I mean, if I could conjure something like that up, I don't know how anyone ever does that.
My mom hates the F word.
No.
Poof.
It's my show, and I'm allowed to talk about whatever I want to talk about, and
Poofs.
I want to preface this by saying, and you know where I'm going to go with as soon as I say this.
I thought you were going to go with Toots, but so now I don't know.
I love Alex Jones. I love InfoWars. I support them more than a lot of people out there support them. Okay? This is me showing that I will call out something that made me upset regardless of who I support, because I really, really do support them. I got so angry with their Clown Wars coverage because he and Owen, on the first night of the debates, their crass humor was out of this world. I had to shut it off and go watch MSNBC on cable television because I was so upset. I left InfoWars. That's probably one of the only times I've ever, I don't think you and Mom probably have a couple of times, but I literally was sick to my stomach because they kept saying the same dirty joke over and over and over again. And I was like, out of the same mouth flow blessings and cursings. These things ought not be. And I want to have a message for Alex Jones.
What is that? Walk away with potty mouth. Away with
Potty mouth. Won't kiss no potty mouth. All right, so Alex, if you're watching this, if your people are watching this, if anybody at InfoWars is watching this, spiritually, that is why you guys lose when you're under attack, because you have to have the purity and holiness of God to defend yourself against these types of things. If you're going to be on the devil's side shouting all of his obscenities and vileness, then you open the door to, hey, God, don't protect me. Let the devil come after me. Okay, you got to walk as holy as you try to talk. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous when you're losing your most loyal viewers on a really important night because you can't keep your words. I'm not even talking about curse words. Find whatever curse. This was straight up perversion that was disgusting and vile. And it was awful. So there's my thing.
Sermon for the day.
Yeah. We were going to give him a whole spiritual thing that you said.
I did. I talked about it.
Okay. All right. We love you guys.
God loves you.
God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory.
If it's the truth.
We want you to like. We want you to comment. We want you to subscribe to Mass Faith 3, Resistance Chicks, on all of the places that we are on. Minds, BitChute, ResistanceChicks.com.
Jay's coming up with a channel.
Jay's coming up with a channel. The Patriot channel, which is going to have a revamped name. That he's praying about, and we did a meeting on Monday, and it's super excited. Chris Ann Hall is involved. The History Bee is involved. One of the really popular moderators who I was not familiar with, maybe you guys are, the DM. She's involved as well, so it's going to be absolutely amazing, and coders that are out of this world. So I'm super excited to bring you more about that as it unfolds. So 107 Milford, Ohio 45150. Send us your letters. We will read your comments on air.
We got a nice card.
We did get a very, very generous and nice card from Robert Bone. Thank you for that, Robert. We did get it, and that was very, very kind of you. So thank you, thank you. We also got another monthly donation from Eric. So thank you guys for that. So a lot of this stuff is getting saved up for a rainy day because we want to use it towards the show. So thank you, and God bless you. All right, you guys, we're signing off. We'll be back here on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our European and UK news.
I got the show lining up already. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. All right, you guys, good night. God bless. I was called